So what are some tips that you can share in terms of not finding reasons to get up from the desk and making excuses? Because I'm sure that might have been easier knowing that there was this ticking clock.
Yeah, when there's a deadline, it's a lot easier to force yourself to just stay there. You know how many pages you have to write on average each day to be finished by the date they set for you. And if you're not making that quota, you know you're screwing up, and someday you're going to be up 24 hours straight trying to make up for it. So it's when you've got a deadline, it's a lot easier to discipline yourself. At the same time, in my experience, screenwriting is 80% surfing the web, doing dishes, walking the dog, all the while hopefully you're thinking about what you're going to be writing, and then 20% of the time you're actually typing away.
So speaking of that, when you are your own band leader, for lack of a better word, what are some tips that you can use to keep yourself again in that chair, or is it all part of this process of just observation?
You know, honestly, I think it's a double-edged sword, because you can justify a lot of goofing off during the writing process as letting the creative juices flow and build and letting your mind wander a bit. You know, the truth is, story, not so much storytelling, but story creating happens in the subconscious. And sometimes if you just sit there and you stare at a computer screen or you stare at a blank piece of paper waiting for words to come, it's a more forced artificial process. Whereas, you know, sitting in a park watching people interact, you might get an idea for something. So, on the other hand, you can waste way too much time doing that. So it's a double-edged sword, and you have to find a way to discipline yourself. And you know, that's going to be different for everybody. The way I do it is to set myself a page quota. I have to write a certain number of pages each day. And if I've wasted time on the internet or in pointless Facebook debates, which seem to occupy an increasingly large amount of time, you know, I don't let myself get up. I don't let myself go to bed or whatever. I don't leave the computer until I've reached that quota. So that's really the only way for me that's really proven to be effective. Because otherwise, you know, I'll write one good little bit, and I'll be all proud of myself, and then I'll go do something else. And at the end of the day, I discovered that, well, that was a good bit, but it was only half a page, and now I have 10 pages to write tomorrow instead of 5. So keeping to a daily quota is really something that's been effective for me.
Are you a harsh taskmaster for yourself, or are you sort of like one of these lenient parents, real gentle with yourself? And
again, it depends on whether I'm writing on deadline. If I have a deadline and I know when something has to be done and it's a paying job, I'm a pretty harsh taskmaster. When I'm writing a spec script for myself, I tend to go a bit easier on myself, on the theory that creativity is what's most important here. I'm not on deadline and I don't need to meet somebody else's schedule, and I should just let it flow. But again, that's really just self-justification, and there's a huge amount, I think there's a huge amount of laziness involved in being a screenwriter, to be honest with you.